I'm super excited to jump on live with you today. We are starting a new podcast series called The Limitless Life. We are going to really help you up level the thinking that you have, really give you the success strategies of unlocking and unleashing that potential that you have inside of you. Because I don't know about you, but like most of us, and my guest included, and I'll introduce her here in a second, we have this big dream and big vision. We know we're called to more. We know God's put a calling on our heart, a desire. We know we haven't lived up fully to the potential and the dreams in our heart. And it's, this series isn't for the person who's like struggling and blaming everyone else and is really just wanting everybody to hand a limitless life to them. But I know that's not you. You're the person that's like, I know there's another level. I know there's a way to get through here. And even though you might want to give up at times, you just can't. Like there's that fire that keeps you coming back to, but what if, and I see other people doing it, and maybe I could have that limitless income or that limitless business or that health or relationships going to the next level. And sometimes, to be honest, it keeps you up at night. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I have an amazing guest that I'm bringing on to today's live rendition of the Epic Success podcast. So welcome to the podcast, to the live, Joy Foster. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. This is right up my street in terms of the stuff I just absolutely love.
Yeah. So Joy has been a client of mine. She's gone all the way through and gotten a neurocoaching certification. And I just want to have a real conversation, Joy, about kind of that place that you were in and I was in, where you felt kind of chained back, not where you wanted to be yet, like still striving, still going for things and knowing that something wasn't working, but you weren't giving up. Like, what were some of those limitations or those places that you were at before you got started in learning the neurocoaching model and how this really is the success strategy that breaks things wide open?
Well, in all honesty, before I started working with you, I had no concept of the way I was speaking internally and externally. So I really didn't understand the subconscious and how it worked. And I really didn't understand the power of the conscious to rewire the subconscious. And so I think really I was frustrated. I was constantly frustrated because I wanted more and I wanted to go bigger and I wanted to have a bigger impact. But I just felt like I just couldn't break through the blocks that were in my way. And that was the gift you gave me, was realizing that I could break through the blocks, that it was just neurological. It was just a neural pathway that I needed to readjust and change. And the beauty of the system that I learned through you is that once you've made that change, it's a permanent change. And so you then build on that, and that gets really exciting. And that's where the limitless potential comes.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we had some great conversations about being in that place of knowing there was another gear, knowing there was more, and the frustration of feeling like you couldn't do it all, but you were trying, right? You were trying to be a good mom, a good, partner, stay in your healthy habits and also grow this income for your business. What was that? What did that feel like for you to be in that tug of war?
Well, really interesting, because you just said I was trying to be a good mom. I was trying to be there for my kids, trying to be a good wife. And that was the problem, because I had decided in my head that I was going to do the business thing at the sacrifice of my family and my children. So actually, one of the brain primes I ended up having to do in order to move forwards was that I am a good mom, I am a good wife, and here's all the brain-based evidence why. And once that neurological pathway was fixed, it was like I could focus on the business, but I knew fundamentally in my heart that I was a good mother and a good wife. And I knew that my kids knew that they were loved and they were taken care of. And I lost all guilt at that point around working, because I had done the work to know that actually I was a good mother and actually I was a good wife. And so I think so much of of the work is realizing that the thing that's stopping you from doing what you want to do is tied into other things. And so much of this time we spend beating ourselves up and telling ourselves things that are not helpful. It's a waste of time, and it can be fixed. And what I've never seen anyone else have a system the way that you've developed it, where you can actually fix the thoughts so that they don't come back. I never question whether I'm a good mom or whether I'm a good wife. I'm convinced that I am. I've done the work. And now it's on to more challenging things for me. Because the other thing too is, once you believe you're a good mom and you believe you're a good wife, you inadvertently become one. So part of my self-sabotage was by believing I wasn't being a very good mom, was actually I wasn't as good of a mom as I wanted to be. So once you start to believe, hey, I am a good mom and this is how I show up, then it just takes all that guilt away. It takes all that stress away. And then actually you believe you're a good mom. So you do the good mom things. And, whatever that is, whatever your definition of good mom is. And that's what's cool too. You get to define. And now I get to do, in a way, more challenging things like, I am a business owner with a profit, or I am a business owner with huge impact. And my program impacts the lives of thousands of women, not just hundreds of women. So I get to up level the things I want to do. And I think it's important to understand that it's human nature to want more. When you learn something, you want to learn something else, right? It's totally normal. It's a natural part of being human, that once you know one thing, you want to know something else. So I think I've also had to come to terms with the fact that it's okay to want the next level once you've got the level you're at, and that's a natural part of human.
That's so good, because what a lot of us do, especially high performers, people who want more. I'm not talking to the person that's still kind of in that victim looking for the answer that is, somebody else doing it for them. But those of us who really have that dream that won't die. And I call this the 1% factor. And we're going to talk about that in this upcoming Limitless Life event that's coming up in October. But what Joy's been talking about is the core of our neurocoaching model. And, there's a lot of science behind it, but it really dives down into a triad that I call BAR: believe, act, and then results, right? BAR. So you raise the bar when you know how your mind works, and you stop working against the very thing that will create the success that you want. And that's what's so exciting, is that creating success in your life, we've been told, we've been taught, we've been indoctrinated that it is hard, that you have to work hard, you have to earn it, you have to deserve it, you have to then work harder than everybody else. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to work hard to have success. What I am saying is working harder does not equal success. And that, I think, is this ideology that unknowingly we were indoctrinated in school, where if I keep working harder, then I deserve the success. And then what happens is you burn yourself out working so hard, right? And I saw, when you first came in, there was nobody needing to light a fire under you. You had that I'll work harder thing going, but yet it didn't equal success. In fact, it kind of equaled I want to say failure, but it equaled not quite getting to where you want to go.
It's like the fly that's trying to get out of the glass window. It's trying as hard as it can against the window, hitting, trying to get out. And all it needs to do is turn 180 degrees and fly out the door that's open at the other side of the room, and it'll live. Yeah. But what happens is the fly is trying harder and harder to get out the glass window, and it's never going to get out the glass window. Yeah. And so we do have to change our perspective. We have to flip around and look at the open door and go through it. And I think that was the gift I was given, was trying harder, doing the same thing over and over again is not going to get you the results that you want to get. You're going to have to believe in something bigger than yourself, in this dream, in this vision, and you're going to have to take action towards it. Like you said, the believe, action, results. I think that's so important. I would say, you and I have share a similar faith. And I will say, when I first came to you, I was probably sort of in that mentality of, I know a lot of Christians go through this where they're like, what do you want me to do, God? Just show me, just tell me, just give me the answer. And I think what I've what I've learned is the answer is I've given you this ridiculously powerful brain. Use it, my friend, and
learn the
figure
system
out
that's there waiting for you to actually tap into it. It's like there's a Ferrari in your driveway. I always say this. This is like I don't know why this helps me so much to really tap into the power that's been given to us automatically. Like you have it. The Ferrari sitting in the driveway, and you have a golf cart in the driveway, and the keys are on the desk, right, ready to go. But you don't recognize the Ferrari keys as keys. You only recognize the keys to the golf cart. So you keep picking up the golf cart keys, and you get in the golf cart. You keep looking at the Ferrari going, oh, someday I wish I could have that. But you already have it, and you just haven't learned how to operate it yet. But I love that you brought up this, what I call the 1% factor. And it doesn't matter your faith background. We all have this thing of, what am I made for? Like there's something bigger, and what's my purpose? What am I put on the planet for? What's my uniqueness? And then we get into entrepreneurial circles, and then it becomes, what's my niche? But it's still trying to answer the same darn question. What's my value? Who am I in this world? And what do I have to give and offer others that's different than everybody else? And then we, of course, start into the comparison and all those things. But I truly believe, and after studying the mind and seeing and working and coaching with so many high performers and teaching this high performance success system, is that you were deposited with that 1% at birth. And you had a propensity toward what your 1% is all through grade school and all through high school. And as you got older, now, of course, life comes in. We tell our 1% to simmer down. Some external source might tell your 1% that you're talking too much, all of those things. Talk about the shift that happened in you once you went through and raised the bar, so to speak, with the STEPDAR model, with the neurocoaching model, and you shifted into a belief around what was possible. The old way was, I got to work hard, I got to deserve. And then once you went through the system, you flipped to this new way of thinking that created some pretty fantastic results in your business. I would love for you, I know she doesn't want to brag, but where were you? Where did you get to once that switch was turned on?
Yeah, I mean, quantum leap, right? That's what we're talking about here. And I think what is incredible for me is, making that switch to the 1% is so unique. Let me just say, I think our job, our mission in life is to discover our 1%. I think you're onto something here, because if we're all unique in that unique way, then it's our job to become uniquely us. Yep. And we have to, it goes back to this question, what would you love? And if I think about what I personally, not anybody else, but what would I love? I wanted a £1 million business.
Right.
That was, can I tell you a really funny story about that? Because we've achieved that now. And now it's like, okay, well, what do we do next? But but what I will say is when I had only got 10,000 pounds in my business for the first years and years ago, I went to a business event, and everyone at the business event, they ran businesses that were 2 to 5 million, and they were trying to hit the 10 million mark. So that was what the event was for. And it was a mentor that had invited me to the event, and there were not a lot of women there. It was pretty much all men. Yeah. And I said to this mentor, I said, why did you invite me to this event? And he goes, I wanted you to see what I see in you. And I think you need people in your life who can see you and see where you go. And I remember going, are you kidding? Like, I could never do it. I'm like, at 10,000 to 2 million, like the concept of 1 million wasn't even on my radar. And so I think one of the big things for me was, we went from what was effectively, a 87,000 pound business to, a $500,000 business to $1 million, so we massively grew, and not just not over a period of time, but in a very short period of time. And that's what you'd call a quantum leap. Yeah. So I think for me, that was what it gave me the roadmap through my money mindset issues. It gave me the roadmap through my relationship issues. It gave me the roadmap through some of my even, physical fitness, issues, ambitions, whatever you want to call it. I've ever since I started working with you, I've consistently worked on rewiring my neural pathways. I've done about 8 or 9 brain primes, and each of them level me up and move me to the next level. But what I find fascinating is the speed at which things can change once you can identify and isolate the thoughts that are holding you back, and you can reframe them so that they become neutralized, and you put in new thoughts, and those new thoughts are the things that propel you to the next level. So yeah, for us, I mean, it's not about bragging. It's about saying, look, I'm very proud of the fact that I am one of 13% of all female business owners that ever get to the £1 million mark.
Yep.
I think more women should be there with us. And
Amen.
we need to bring them up. And so a huge part
in
of
the comments, if that's you, if that's where you're like, yes, me, yes, me, yes, me, yes, me, like that's me. That's me. I want to be in that group. I want to be
if we don't talk about it, we don't show what's possible. And, Jamie Kern-Lima, she runs a $1 billion business, and she talked about in her book, Believe It. And I think she gave permission to all women to talk about it. So if we didn't have the permission already, so that we could inspire other women to do it. And trust me, I was the person with a 10,000 pound business that never in a million years thought I'd be where I am. And I guarantee you, I wouldn't be where I was if I hadn't had the work that I did with you. So it's a combination of lots of different things, but your mind is the most powerful piece.
And the great news is this high performance success system is a step-by-step. You know how we're always like, and we'll go deep into this in the October, I believe it's October 11th event coming up, the Limitless Life, Build the Limitless Life You Deserve. And we're going to help you lean into your true potential, figure out what your 1% factor is, and get the whole blueprint to the success system that Joy's talking about. In fact, my team, we're here live. Could you put in the link if people are ready, like save my seat? I don't want to miss that. I want to put it in my calendar. Drop in drshannonirvin.com/limitless and let them get in the front of the line. We actually aren't promoting it yet, but since you're here with us early, let's get you saving your seat. But here's the what I want to kind of wrap on is creating a limitless life, creating successful life, right? Creating a life that you desire to have. It doesn't just magically fall into your lap. And I think that's some of the lies that we've been indoctrinated into, right? That we work harder, we follow the right path, we search for strategies, we're indoctrinated into this outside in model of success, that if I go do this strategy and that strategy and do this, that it works. But then you do those things and then it doesn't work. And then you're frustrated. And I know, Joy, you were no stranger, nor was I, to trying to see if strategies could fix the thinking that was not getting me to where I wanted to go. And a lot of even those, leadership trainings and high performance trainings that just, they're feel good motivational, but they don't give an actual success system with how your brain is wired. Talk about the ease and the speed at which things started changing for you once it all fired and you got the whole system dialed in.
Okay, well, really good example. One of the strategies that everyone talks about is building out a team, right? Yeah. Yeah. But what people don't realize is if you build out a team, you've actually got to lead that team. You've got to manage that team. Yeah. And one of the fundamental beliefs that I had to face when I had my very first terrible management situation, I was the bad manager, was I am a bad manager. Like I'm not in corporate world because I don't want to be a manager, and I'm not a leader. And so suddenly I was like, I'm not a good manager. I'm not a good leader. Well, if the leader of the team thinks they're a bad leader or a bad manager, guess what? It's not going to grow the way you want it to grow. Right. So one of the brain primes I had to do was I am a good leader. I am a good manager. And I had to find brain-based evidence that I could do it. I had to read a couple more books and like, you know what, but I guess my point is the strategy is build out a team. But if you don't have the fundamental belief that you're going to be a good team leader, you're going to be stuffed basically. So I think that's a good example of a situation that happened to me. Another one is, you have a strategy to spend money on paid advertising, but if you're scared of spending money on paid advertising, that strategy is not going to work for you. And that was the other situation I found when I first came to you. I had never spent more than $5,000 on ads. And I had done that very slowly over a long period of time, from 500 pounds to 1,000 pounds to 2,000 pounds to 5,000. And so I was like nowhere near wanting to spend 10,000. And on one phone call, you got me to get to a place where I had to commit. You didn't force me to commit. I had to get to a place where I was going to commit that I was going to spend 10,000. And that's where we had over 100 students join our program. We had a multiple six-figure launch. It's the thing that totally broke the ice and got us to the next level from a business. I was able to hire a COO. I was able to bring in a CMO. I was able to bring in a curriculum development person. And we got to a place where I was in a support manager. I could move forwards the way that I always envisaged. But that had to go back to the strategy was paid advertising. I was scared to death of paid advertising, and I had to do the brain work to overcome that. So I have a couple really great examples in there, and I've got my new ones that I'm working through now. And I think you just have to once you do one, you uncover another one, and then you uncover another one. And the good news is as you're discovering new limits and you're removing them to become limitless. Yeah. You're building on a foundation. So it's not like you're starting all the way back down at zero. Now, when I do a brain prime or I'm moving forwards, I'm like 9 levels higher than I was when I was doing it a year ago. And that to me is super, super powerful. But yeah, the strategies are great. But if you're scared to death to do them, they're totally not going to work for you.
Yeah. And I love that you brought it, that it's a system. This is a way of life, a way of being. Imagine you with your partner, significant other, your husband or wife, and imagine you're like, okay, you've done all the right things to get them to say yes, and they'll be with you or marry you. And then you're like, okay, check the box. I'm done. Don't need to do anything else. Or imagine like, I'm trying to get healthy. I'm trying to get fit. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go and do this thing. And you go and do the thing. And you eat a certain way and you go work out for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then you're like, okay, so now I've done it. I'm done. I don't have to ever work out again or ever eat healthy again. And I can keep the same physique. You would never think that way. But yet we somehow think that to get to these next level, up levels in our life, in our business, in our career, in our health, or in our relationships, that we just have to do different things. And what we get to unpack and what we get to give you the actual strategy for that gives you the operating system to the Lamborghini is get in there and learn how to raise the bar, learn how to tap into the beliefs that create the actions that give you the results that you're going for. But I want to ask, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask I said wrap up, but it's hard for me to stay to 20 minutes, which I'm trying to do. I want to tap into the feeling that it produces in you. And what becomes possible for you now that you've gone from an old way of thinking and doing and being to this new way, and you've elevated your life and you're defining your limitless life. And I know you're shooting for really big things in your business and also in your personal life. What does it feel like when you look at your family now and you're present with them compared to the old way, the old broken way that was before?
Well, I mean, let me just say what it doesn't feel like.
Okay,
I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but it doesn't feel like crap. I think this is where I was at. I was at a pivotal point where I was exhausted because I was trying so hard. I was staying up really late. I didn't have a team because I didn't have the revenue, and I didn't have the revenue because I had the fear of, putting myself out there on the ads, et cetera. So I think if you go back to the feeling that I was having at the end of December 2019, for example, it was a feeling of despair, despair in my parenting skills, despair in my marriage partner relationships, despair relationship. There's just one.
Yeah.
In my, despair in my, in my team. I had to lay everybody off, and because I'd overspent the previous year, and then I had to go out and raise more money, and then I had to hire new people, and I was nervous about that, and obviously still hadn't cleared out the fact that I, thought I was a bad manager. And so there was, I think the best way to describe it is the feeling I don't have anymore. I have a whole new level of confidence. I have a whole new level of assuredness. I have a whole new level. I don't go there. I don't ever go back to those places, because I'm past those places. And actually, I mean, it's amazing, because I am definitely in a place where I really believe I'm in the driver's seat. I'm in the Ferrari. I can drive the Ferrari. I own the Ferrari. I don't have to give the Ferrari back, because the Ferrari is my brain. So I own it. I'm in it. I'm driving it. And trust me, when you're in a Ferrari driving it, or a Lamborghini driving it, it feels a lot better than a Golf. And so, or a golf cart, or whatever you want to call it. But, I would say it's a very good illustration. It feels smooth. It feels in control. It feels like I'm the driver. It feels like I can do what I want to do. It feels like I'm making measured decisions, and I'm not being controlled by outside forces, but by inside forces. And yeah, you still have those moments where, you get frustrated about this or that, or, you say the wrong thing, or you do the wrong thing. But I mean, it's just a different playing field. I am not in despair in any part of my life, and haven't been for a very, very long time. And I'm generally a pretty, stable person. But at that point in my life, it was like, I was really at a tough point. How do we move forwards? And now I'm at a place where it's like I'm moving forwards. And how do we do this? It's not how do we move forwards. It's I'm moving forwards, and what's the next step to make it happen? And I would say my ability to have an unwavering belief in what I wanted to do was definitely not fully there a couple of years ago. And now I really get this concept of, right, we need to stoke the fire of the burning desire. We need to be focused on the plan, and we need to go and believe unwaveringly that thing's going to happen. And by doing that, things are going to start coming to me, and the people are going to come to me, and the messages and the things I need are going to come to me as I get my subconscious really in line. The subconscious is a great servant, terrible master. So I am now controlling the subconscious with my conscious. And that's where there's so much relief, because I feel like I'm quite solid. And occasionally you talk to someone that's not in the same place as you are, and you go like, come on, get back on board with me. But I'm much stronger than I have ever been, ever in my life.
So it was frustration and desperation and fatigue to freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And control.
Freedom and control. And that's the type of things that gets unleashed when you truly are starting to plan and prepare and know the systems and strategies to create that limitless life. I'm going to ask you one more question of you, because we're talking a lot about potential, right? And I think a lot of people that are high achievers, high performers, meant for something big, have a big calling and a dream, aren't there yet, and are in that place that you were in, frustrated and, almost desperate at times. Let's be honest. Like, why can't I figure this out? Right. So you knew you weren't at your peak potential, right? You knew you weren't there. Talk about how you feel in terms of your potential now. And are you living up to your potential, and are you maximizing your potential now? And when you wake up in the morning, how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds funny to say in some parts of my life I've exceeded the potential I gave it. In some parts of my life, I'm like, oh, this is territory I didn't anticipate being in. So that's exciting. I am definitely in a place now where the things, like I said, the girl who had a 10,000 pound business never thought she was going to have a 1 million pound business. And so now she's there, she's got it. Here I am, I've got this £1 million business. That I think it was if I'm being honest, it was a dream, it was a wish, it was a hope. Now it's a reality. And actually, I think the fact that I've gone through that experience of wanting to do something and then doing it is a real gift, because now I sort of go, okay, well, what do I want to do next? And so I think that's the big gift. I was on the U.S. archery team, and I tried out for the Olympic team twice, and I didn't make it. And I felt like a real failure, and I felt like, and a lot of people would look at my journey, going 44th in the country up to 6th, and then finishing off 5th in the country, and living at the Olympic Training Center and training with the best coaches in the world. And they would say, wow, that's incredible what you did. But I looked at it as a failure. And in many ways, the building a business was my second chance, my second opportunity to go out and try and be a success at something. And let's just face it, it took me 3 businesses. This is my 3rd business. And I sort of failed at the first 2, but this one worked. And it worked because I worked on myself. And quite frankly, I think if I'd had the mental fortitude that I have now in the previous 2 businesses, and when I was doing archery, my life would have been a lot different a lot sooner. And I think that's the big change for me is recognizing that now a lot of the potential I ever had for my life is sort of I'm at a new level. Now I'm beyond the potential I'd given myself. So, I think that's exciting, is when you get into unknown territory and it gets, you're like, well, this is exciting. How do I want to shape the rest of my life? Because I don't have to spend the rest of my life chasing to get to where I want to be. I'm already there. So now it's, how do I shape the rest of my life so that I get to love it, and as much as I love it now, and I get to use that to give back and to support others, and also to live out my dreams and hopes and desires, and going deep onto that 1%. What am I here to discover? What am I here to learn? What am I here to build? What am I here to create? We're creating beings, right? So what am I here to create? And that's exciting for me. And so, yeah, what's fun is once you get past the place where you're like, whoa, I exceeded any potential I thought I had for myself anyway, then you go out and you're like, all right, what do we get to do now? And then it's just a game, and it's a lot of fun. And, I have a very fun life. I have a very happy life. And I feel like every situation that comes my way is handleable. I can figure it out. And I truly fundamentally believe that. And that's what makes it really fun, is how do we figure it out? How do we untie this knot and create a new bow?
Yeah, I love it. And that, you guys, is the 1% factor that I want for every single one of you. So Joy, thanks for coming on and just sharing your journey and sharing your story. I'm so excited that we're going to get to reveal this high performance success system to everyone in October. And we are going to have a 4-day live event. I'm going to be there live, walking you through the entire success system that we have. We can help you raise the bar, help you really identify your 1%, and then start to create your success plan in a way that you define your limitless life, and then give you the actual step-by-step process to make that a reality, like Joy talked about, faster and easier than you ever thought possible. So my team's going to drop it in there, but you can go to drshannonirvin.com/limitless. Cannot wait to see you in October. Enjoy. Keep leveling up. I'm so excited to be part of, just a little part of, a witness of your uniqueness, your greatness in the world that you're putting out there. So thanks for being live with us today.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
Bye, y'all. I'll see you next week on the Epic Success Podcast. Bye for now.